Uh, yeah, it's a frozen cup. Okay, so today, today is not an informational thing. It's not a learning thing. It's not a travel vlog or anything like that. It's actually just some kind of funny. I was thinking back just today on my travel memories and what I've done so far, and I thought of something that I hadn't thought of in a while, and that was, at the time, my by far scariest thing that had happened to me traveling. And it's just funny how when you're traveling, especially when you get a few years under your belt like I have, you get this cockiness. You're like, oh, I got this. I understand the routes. Like I know the ropes here. It's fine. I got this. And then right away something happens and takes you back down to ground zero. And you're like that kid who's getting on his first plane alone. And even at 19, I was this cocky little shit. And I thought, after a couple weeks of traveling, especially in a developing country, I thought, oh yeah, I got this, no problem. And then one thing happened that instantly brought me to my knees, humiliated me right off the bat, and at the time, to my 19-year-old self, terrified the shit out of me. And all I was thinking at one time, I was like, holy shit, this is bad. I'm going to get deported. Yeah, it wasn't good. Alright, so I'm 19. I have just finished up a wedding in Sri Lanka of one of my best friend Kusal's older brother, and I'm there with my other friend Spencer. After the wedding, after 2 weeks in Sri Lanka, which is absolutely beautiful, Spencer and I decided to go spend a couple weeks in India. We ended up spending 5 weeks or so in India, and it was absolutely breathtaking and beautiful. Once we got to India, I'm not sure what flight it was on or where we were going, but we had to go get on another flight to go somewhere. And by this point, like I said, I was cocky. I was like, oh, this is easy. I was so scared about traveling to a different country and everything like that. I have my wraps under me. I'm good. I have the ropes. And then we went to get on this plane, right? Normal as all. We're going through security. We're going through the airport, and we hit the security scan where they scan your bags and let you through. You hit customs, right? So I'm going through customs. Spencer goes in front of me. He goes through, no problem. I'm going through customs, and it's like all good, right? Put my bag on the thing. I'm walking through the metal detector, and I just see the screen. It's one of those like X-ray screens that is like 5 or 10 feet in front of you, and you can see the screen, so you can see your bag going through. And right when I'm passing through the metal detector, I see my bag come up through the scanner. And what is in the middle of my bag? So there's like, normal crap, some clothes, maybe like a charger there. And then dead center in the middle of the bag, clearly, predominantly put in the bag, is a big old steak knife. Yeah, so I'm going through at 19 in India, trying to go through security, and I have a big steak knife. Not one of those thin little things. I'm talking about like a big porterhouse steak knife in my bag. And all I see is the guy behind the x-ray look at the guy who's running the metal detector, and he just looks at me, and the guy running the metal detector says, "Stop, over here." That's it. So what happened was the day before, we were going on an excursion in our hostel, and we were going on a little trip, and we had a couple things. We had sandwiches and some spreads and stuff like that. So I took a knife from the hostel. Took it for the day, used it, washed it, and then I remember I put it back in my bag and forgot about it. So the smart traveler, experienced perfect traveler I am, didn't check my bags before I went to the airport, walked into the airport with a knife. And that may not seem that bad to some people, but I know that if I tried to do that in Canada or the US, it would be a big, big fucking deal. And I was terrified. So this guy that I learned spoke very little English just said, "Over here." Pulled me over to the x-ray guy, and this guy spoke even less English, and he spoke broken English, and he goes, "This your bag?" And I'm like, yeah. And by this point, I'm beating sweat, I'm shaking. I was like, everything's gone. I was like, holy shit, what's going to happen? He grabbed my bag and pulled me over to a separate section. So I'm following the guy, and the one guy actually has his hand like kind of on my neck, on my collar, and I'm just kind of shrinking. I felt like my dad was grabbing me from behind. And I just see Spencer sitting over on the bench there, fooling around with his bag. He looks up and sees me and just stares at me, tracking by, terrified. So I'm walking over to the security station with these two security offers, and this guy goes, "This your bag? This your bag?" And he's like staring at me and like hitting my bag hard. And I'm like, yeah, right? He pulls my bag up and just puts it on the table in front of me and grabs something that's just hanging off the side of my bag that I didn't even think about. What's hanging off my bag is one of those stupid, dinky little utility sporks or forks, whatever you want to do, the stuff you buy off Facebook and Instagram for camping. That's like a half spoon, half fork, tiny little serrated edge, has like a screwdriver at one end and a clip, and it's clipped to my backpack. He grabs that thing, he shakes it at me, still attached to my bag, and says, "Not allowed." Rips the thing off, ripping the loop on my bag, throws it to the ground, and just says, "Not allowed. Go." That's it. Hands me my bag and shoves me off. I grab my bag as fast as I can, still shaking hands, walk over to Spencer, and there's a garbage right next to him. I stand up next to him, pull the knife out of my bag, throw it in the garbage. I sit down. I'm like, holy shit. These guys didn't even notice the steak knife in my bag. They were more concerned with this little aluminum spork that's on the side of my bag that I brought for like no reason, just because I bought it and I thought it was cool. I was absolutely terrified. Now, maybe this isn't that big a deal. When I was 19, I thought it was huge. Maybe in India, it's not even illegal to bring a knife or something like that on the plane. But I know in Canada and the US, you're not even allowed to bring your nail clippers or a pocket knife or a file. So I knew I would have been in big shit in Canada or the US. And the fact that they didn't even notice, I don't know if they just didn't care about it or they didn't even look at the x-ray machine. My hunch is that they thought the thing on the side of my bag was cool and they wanted to keep it. But I couldn't believe that I got away with that. I remember I told Spencer the story, and he laughed and like kind of freaked out. He was kind of pissed. Like he's like, "What the hell? Why didn't you do that? What, you could have got us in trouble." And I'm like, I'm just breathing through it. So yeah, that at the time was by far one of my most scary travel stories. And again, let me know. I want to know, would you guys have been scared here? And if any of you are from India or that part of the world and know if it's a big deal or not a big deal, please let me know, because I'm still to this day like, can't believe that happened, and I thought I was in so much shit. So let me know. Would you be scared? What would you have done? Yeah. Anyway, when I was 19, it was terrifying. I remember for the rest of the trip there, my humility was just leveled out, and my ego was just nice and leveled out again. And never made that mistake again. Not once.